Good afternoon. This is Diana Schad, CEO of Family Business Alliance. It's my pleasure today to meet with George and Martha Todd, family members at Kalsec in Kalamazoo, Michigan. George and Martha, thank you so much for joining us. Before we start, I have a few basic questions. First, George, could you tell us what year the business was started?
The business was actually started in 1958.
And who started it?
It was my father. It kind of emerged out of my grandfather's business.
Okay, and do you have a website for the business?
We do. It's kalsec.com.
You mentioned your father and grandfather. What number of generations are involved in the business today?
Well, second and third are involved today, but our roots go back to the late 1800s when my great-grandfather started the peppermint and spearmint oil business here in southwest Michigan.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you have a non-family member in leadership today. Is that correct?
We do. It's been about a year and a half, and we have a gentleman who is extremely bright. He's been with the company about 20 years. We all adore him, including all the family members, and it's really working out quite well.
Wonderful. Good. Well, why don't you take a minute to tell us a little bit about Kalsec and the products that you provide?
Well, the basic business is we produce extracts for flavoring, coloring, food, and beer in particular. Part of the line is natural antioxidants derived from rosemary and other herbs for extending shelf life and food. And we have a little bit in the nutritional area, but our primary business is extracts into the food ingredient and beverage industry, primarily beer, with hop extracts.
When the business was started, was it similar products that you were manufacturing?
Yes. It actually, again, it emerged out of my grandfather's business. And the first product we produced here was an extract of hot chili peppers. It's a good story. My grandfather liked to speculate in commodities a little bit, and he had a broker friend that told him there were 3 carloads of hot chilies down in New Orleans, and if somebody were to buy those, he could corner the market. So he bought them, expecting to be able to flip them and make a quick buck, but nobody wanted to buy them. So he was stuck with 3 carloads of hot chilies, and he had a friend in Chicago at Armour Meats and asked him what he should do with these 3 carloads of chilies. And the guy told him the future is extracts. And that's how we got into the spice business.
Oh, how funny. What did he end up doing with the chili extract? Did he sell it to Armour, or what did he do with it?
Armour and many others. And that started the whole process of figuring out how to extract spices, concentrate them, standardize them, and find applications for them in the food industry.
When he started, do you know how many employees he had at that time?
Oh, boy. That was when I was a kid here on the farm. Probably a dozen.
And how many do you have today?
About 400.
And you had mentioned that was worldwide?
Yes. So we have probably about 300 in the U.S., and the rest are spread out over Europe, South America, and Southeast Asia.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your other locations? I know you have different facilities around the world.
One foreign country that we have a big presence in is Texas. And we have some agricultural and processing operations in Texas, as well as here in Kalamazoo. And then we have the sales, marketing, and laboratory applications support in Europe, in Shanghai, and in Malaysia. And then we have sales offices in a total of about 70 countries.
Okay.
Either sales offices or representatives that we work with in those countries.
So the next question is kind of a dual question for both you and Martha. But I wanted to know, first, George, did you always want to be a part of the family business, or how did you end up coming to work with the family business?
I swore I would never go to work for my father. At the ripe old age of 35, I had a family, 2 kids, a new house, and no job. And Dad says, well, why don't you just come and try it for a while? And the rest is history. It's been wonderful.
Okay, and Martha, how about you?
I live here on the farm, and I joined the board about 10 years ago. My grandpa was still alive, and he passed away, and I was on the board, and I started spending more time at the business and getting to know people, and I really love the family feel of the company and the culture here, and I really started working here when I was about 14 on the farm in the pepper fields. So I've known a lot of these people my whole life. Just the more time I spent here, the more in love I became with the community here. And so that's really what hooked me, was not so much our products, but our culture and the way we treat our employees. And it's really like a big extended family here. And my girls are growing up on the farm, and it's just a really nice heritage to be a part of.
And you mentioned that your 16-year-old is working with the company in the daycare?
Yep, so she's working up at the farmhouse. Her favorite thing in the world to do right now is to hold babies. So she spends her days up there holding babies all day.
Oh, wonderful. Well, do you, and this can be either one who wants to answer, but do you promote yourself as a family business in your marketing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that, and why do you do that?
If you go to our website, we've got a nice little video clip there that talks a little bit about the history. And why do we do it? We believe that means something to our customers in terms of stability and longevity. We also think it's a nice recruiting tool. And we've got a lot of really wonderful, very talented people who have joined us from large publicly held companies who got tired of the rat race and wanted to be part of something with a little deeper values and a little bit longer term view.
Terrific. Martha, a question for you. What resources have helped you navigate your family and colleague relationships with Kalsec?
Well, I think one thing that we started over a decade ago is tending seminars for family businesses. So whether it be in Grand Rapids or in Chicago, there are a lot of resources for family businesses in terms of educating shareholders and educating owners on on responsible ownership, different ways that you can be involved in a family business, even if it's not just, as the president or CEO like your grandpa or your dad did. And I think that really becoming educated on just the different ways that it can look and work for your life and your lifestyle really opens up a lot of opportunities for family shareholders. And I think it makes the company stronger when family members are involved in different ways on different levels, whether it be, holding babies in the daycare or serving on the board or working for the family office. I think there's just a lot of opportunities, and the more that family shareholders can educate themselves on that, I think it just makes the company stronger.
And you had mentioned that you do an annual family meeting as well?
We do, and that started over 10 years ago also.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way to get the family together, to educate everybody on what's going on in the family business, and just get alignment. And we talk about what are our family values and how do we want those represented in our company. What do we want the future to look like for our family and for the business, and how can we get behind that, and what can we each contribute to make that happen. So it's been really good for our family. I think it keeps us together, not just as a business, but it makes us more healthy and cohesive family. We talk about charitable giving and our values. So I think it's been a really good tool for the business and for our family.
Terrific. One word that you both have mentioned a few times is values and family values. And on your website, it says that Kalsec prides itself on holding nature in awesome respect. Do you think this value has brought meaning to your life outside of the company?
Well, I would say absolutely. I think, growing up on the farm, having the business still here, having the old family homestead here, having Martha's house here, having worked on the farm, for me personally, there's just a lot of satisfaction in watching your product start in the ground, be grown and harvested and processed, and then see it used in the food that we eat every day. It's pretty nice.
I know one of our family values is environmental stewardship, and so to have our products be responsibly sourced, to have vertical integration, so we're controlling our product from start to finish. We know that it's clean product, that it's not contaminated. And then we know that what we're putting into food that our kids are going to eat is a healthy, natural alternative to a lot of the artificial things that go into food these days. It's something, that really is in line with our values of environmental stewardship. And I think also, like Dad said, living on the farm, we have over 100 acres here that we have our manufacturing centralized here, but we also have woods and prairie and water. And we really, as a family, think it's important to protect that and maintain it and be able to share it with the community around us. And I think having this centralized here in Kalamazoo allows us to keep our family farm like that and share it with people around us. So there's a lot of ways that where we are and what we do can tie into our family values. And I think that also makes our business strong. It brings people in together under these shared values. So even though we have a very diverse population of people that work for us, people that come here and stay because most of them will share those values. I think that makes it a really nice place to work for most of us.
In the last number of years, we've heard more and more about organic and healthy processing, caring for the environment. Do you think that your family's passion for the environment has affected the success of the business?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that has really gotten us together as a family to support and promote what we do as a company, is knowing that our family is invested in something that we really believe in. So we have that longevity, that long outlook. We want to be invested in this for the long term because it's something we believe in. Our family would not be passionate about this business if we were, making chemical ingredients for children's snack foods, and I mean, I remember I always joke because when I was 16, my grandpa invited me to my first board meeting, and he really put me on the spot in front of everybody, and he said, if there's one thing you think we should do, what would it be? And I was like, oh, thanks so much for but I said I think you should be doing more organics, and no, it's 24 years later and we're finally doing organics.
In 2017, you opened the Farmhouse Early Learning Center. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and how do you think this has impacted the lives of your employees?
It kind of started from an idea my grandma had before I was born. She ran a camp back out of their house, back on the south side of the farm here, for employees. And to me, we have this old farmhouse that all of us have lived in. My grandpa was a baby there. My dad was a baby there. My girls were babies there. And it's been sort of sitting there over the years, and people move in and out, and it's a nice home base. And for when family members would come in town, they could stay there. But I just kept thinking, wouldn't it be great if there were kids here all the time, and if that house that has such a great history for our family was being utilized on a regular basis? I'm a single working mother, and it can be really difficult to balance those parts of your life. And it had just been on my mind for a while, and then I read this amazing book called Family Business by the founder of Patagonia, and they started a on-site child care center in the 80s. And the effect that has had is that they have equal number of men and women in managerial and executive positions, because the working mothers don't have to make that choice between, do I stay home with my kid, or do I take a break from work? And then if I take 6 months off, what does that mean for my career path? And finally, I just came to Dan and I said, we really need to do this. And he said, okay, well, you got to get everybody on board. So the first step was convincing the family to give up our beautiful home and get it renovated so that it could meet all the codes. Getting everybody else on board at the company was so much easier than I thought. I mean, it's incredible how everybody instantly, from all parts of the organization, volunteered to help make this happen. Let's get a business plan together. Let's find the funding. Let's do the resourcing. Let's find people who want to work there. And we are at capacity after only being open for about 9 months. So now we are in the process of starting our second building that is going to house our preschool program. And then the farmhouse will be only for the infants and toddlers. But for the employees, you hear it every day. We have a gentleman coming to visit from Virginia, and he wants to visit 4 places on our campus, and one of them is the daycare center. And for him, that's it's been a big recruiting tool for us, which is great. But in terms of work-life balance, I know just for me, my daughter is up there right now, and to get in my car in the morning and go 2 minutes, drop her off, and then be at my office, instead of, you think about people who have to get up and drive 15 minutes in that direction, 15 minutes in this direction, and then they don't see their kid for 8 to 10 hours. So we have centers opened for employees' children and grandchildren. So my favorite is we have a guy named Lorenzo who he works in our facilities, and he finds something to fix up there about 4 times a day because his granddaughter is up there. And we have a room for nursing mothers, and people can just go up and have lunch with their kids. And it's really great. And even the people that don't have kids, they say they just love seeing kids around the farm, So it's really been great.
Well, it really is incredibly progressive. I'd love to see more companies around our nation do that. I think other countries around the world are doing a little bit of a better job with that, but it's great that your company is doing that. How many employees participate in that?
We have 27 kids right now, and that's as much as we can have for code. And then I think we probably have 8 or 9 on a wait list already for the fall, but we're expecting that to go up. So When we did a survey of families that would have kids within the range, it was about 45 to 50. So we've already got most of them on board.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. George, the final question is for you. So thinking of all that your family has accomplished and all that you've done, how do you think your founders would feel about what the family has achieved today?
Oh, I think they would love seeing it. I think they'd really be proud. I know my father would be really upset by the fact that we finally paved the driveway. But I think all in all, I wish they could see it today. I wish they could see it. They would love it. They would just absolutely love it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Is there any final thoughts?
No, this has been fun. Thank you
Okay.
for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.